You ever look up to someone, think they're the real deal, the voice of reason, the cool uncle everyone loves, the guy who climbed from nothing to the absolute top?
The Hall of Fame tight end was sued on Sunday by a woman proceeding under the name Jane Doe pseudonym.
Yeah, well, forget all that, because Shannon Sharpe, the NFL legend, the ESPN megastar, the man who built an empire on charisma and straight talk, just got slapped with a lawsuit so messy it makes reality TV look like a Disney movie. $50 million.
The hell you say? Now look at her.
Tempting. That's how it started. I mean, imagine just cheersing. Like cheers to Candace being fired. She did nothing to us, did nothing to us at all, never said anything about us. Yeah, that was how it started. This is how it's going. Here's the NBC headline. He is stepping down from ESPN in the wake of a suit. Now, I think first and foremost, this really is a lesson not to take any amount of pleasure and glee in the suffering of people, especially people who you don't know and have never wronged you. That's just a very strange thing to do. Like, I don't know why we would be celebrating people suffering. That's not something we clink glasses to. And like I said, it seems especially egregious when no one's done anything to you. But there is some accidental hilarity in this situation. And by the way, I don't take any, I obviously have given you my opinion on this. I do not think that the element is true. I do think that he has been behaving sloppily, and so that has caught up with him.
From an OF model, barely old enough to remember his playing days. We're talking allegations of domination, secret recordings, threats, the kind of stuff that doesn't just end careers, it vaporizes legacies.
Circumstances, well, Deadline, which tends to have a major in on sports related drama, is reporting that, quote, whether or not Sharpe returns to First Take in subsequent weeks is TBD, but also whether or not he returns at all is TBD.
Thought he was untouchable, living that mega-rich life where consequences are for the little people. Turns out, karma keeps receipts, and this bill is coming due hard. Buckle up, because watching a god fall is always more entertaining than watching them rise. So, how did we get here? How does a man who preached accountability find himself drowning in allegations that could sink his entire brand? Today, we're ripping the Band-Aid off the Shannon Sharpe scandal. We're diving deep into the $50 million lawsuit that has him panicking, ESPN scrambling for cover, and the internet absolutely losing its mind. Picture this. You're at the top of the world, flexing Super Bowl rings and sipping protein shakes on live TV, when suddenly your entire empire gets nuked by a lawsuit from someone who wasn't even born when you retired. Shannon Sharpe didn't just fumble the bag, he spiked it into his own end zone and watched the scoreboard light up with a $50 million deficit. Overnight, the guy who made a living calling out everyone else's mistakes just became the messiest headline in sports.
Gabriela Zuniga, again, just unmasking her. He's like, forget the Jane Doe stuff. It was filed by this young woman and orchestrated by her attorney. Tony Busby is a blatant and cynical attempt to shake down Mr. Sharpe for millions of dollars. It is filled with...
Let's get to the receipts. The accuser, Gabriela Zuniga, a 20-year-old OnlyFans creator, claims she met Sharpe at a Los Angeles gym in 2023. What started as a consensual relationship, now it's a civil war. She's accusing Sharpe of SA, battery, emotional distress, and secretly recording their encounters without her consent. She says he got violent, controlling, and threatened her when she tried to share her location or break things off. And yes, there are alleged audio recordings. One where Sharpe reportedly says pretty messed up things.
I don't want to don't manipulate me.
Oh, Lord have mercy. If you say that one more time, I'm going to out of you when I see you. Thank you.
Sharpe's response? The classic playbook. Call it a shakedown. Blame the lawyer Tony Busby, who's made a career out of targeting celebrities, and drop a few consensual texts to muddy the water. His team even claims he offered Zuniga $10 million to settle before things went public. She said no. Now both sides are leaking receipts, and the internet is eating it up. Let's talk about the digital crossfire that's got everyone's group chat blowing up. Shannon Sharpe's legal team didn't just deny the allegations. They went nuclear, dropping a stack of X-rated texts that make 50 Shades look like a Disney sing-along. We're talking explicit messages from Jane Doe herself, requests for dog collars, role play, and enough do-bad-things-to-me fantasies to make Dr. Ruth blush. Sharpe's camp says this isn't A. This is a consensual, adults-only circus, and she was the ringmaster half the time.
I want you to put a dog collar around my neck and choke me with it while you're oh, you miss this big, juicy double AS. And she ends the message with $25,000 for each cheek. Very expensive cheeks. It's very expensive, very pricey.
But the plaintiff's side? They're not backing down. Their lawsuit paints a picture of a relationship that started consensual and spiraled into manipulation, threats, and violence. She claims Sharpe got controlling, flew into fits when she called out his cheating, and even figured out how to get into her apartment complex without her consent. The big bombshell? Secret recordings. Alleged audio of Sharpe threatening her, leaked to the media by her lawyer, Tony Busby. Yes, the same guy who took on Jay-Z and Diddy. But even the internet can't agree. Half the fans say it sounds like foreplay. The other half hear a threat. Is it kink? Is it coercion? Or is it just two people who should never have exchanged numbers?
Not really interested in getting, so I guess we're going.
Yeah, I'm making in public.
And let's not pretend either side is winning the PR war. Every new leak just adds fuel to the fire. Sharpe's team says she tried to extort him for $25,000 per week. Yes, you heard that right. She says he's a manipulator who used his power and fame to keep her quiet. The internet? They're split. Team Shannon, Team Jane Doe, and Team Why Is This All So Messy? This isn't just a legal battle, it's a digital mud fight, and every receipt just makes the truth harder to find. In 2025, the court of public opinion isn't waiting for a verdict. They are already picking sides, making memes, and digging for the next leak. If you thought this was just a messy breakup gone public, think again. This is where the real sharks show up, and they're not here for a handshake. Enter Tony Busby, the legal world's answer to a heat-seeking missile. This guy doesn't just chase headlines, he manufactures them. Jay-Z, Diddy, Deshaun Watson, Busby's made a career out of dragging the rich and powerful through the mud, and now he's got Shannon Sharpe in his crosshairs. Busby isn't playing for a settlement, he's playing for a scalp. The lawsuit isn't just about justice, it's about spectacle. Every day there's a new leak, a voice note here, a screenshot there, and always just enough context missing to keep the internet arguing. Busby's press conferences feel less like legal updates and more like pay-per-view events. He's not just litigating in court, he's litigating on TikTok, Twitter, and every sports blog desperate for a headline. Meanwhile, Sharpe's team is scrambling. One day they're dropping consensual text to prove he's innocent. The next, they're trying to explain away the audio that sounds like a deleted scene from a Netflix true crime documentary. The PR strategy? Throw everything at the wall and pray something sticks. Every new leak just makes Sharpe look more desperate, and Busby more dangerous.
In the spotlight now than when he played football. He's
Right.
a Hall of Famer. You know, he's a great, amazing player. But right now, I mean, I was just at Super Bowl. He's a big deal. You know, I do think perception's everything, but he's going to really have to be careful of how he handles this moving forward.
And of course,
If you thought this was just another celebrity scandal, think again. The Shannon Sharpe fallout is a masterclass in how fast the sports world turns on its own when the headlines get radioactive. As soon as the $50 million lawsuit hit the news cycle, ESPN insiders started whispering that Sharpe was possibly already banned from the network.
As well, Deadline, which tends to have a major in on sports related drama, is reporting that, quote, whether or not Sharpe returns to First Take in subsequent weeks is TBD, but also whether or not he returns at all is TBD.
That's right, the same Shannon who was everywhere on TV, suddenly nowhere to be found. One day he's debating LeBron's legacy, the next he's a ghost in Bristol. Officially, Sharpe says he's stepping away temporarily to focus on family and fight false and disruptive claims. Unofficially, sources say ESPN wants nothing to do with the circus, especially with more allegations swirling and audio leaks dropping like bad mixtapes. The network is scrubbing his name from internal schedules, sponsors are quietly pulling back, and the sports world is already speculating about who replaces Unc if the exile becomes permanent. And it's not just ESPN. The internet's appetite for drama is bottomless. Every new leak, another explicit text, another audio clip, another he said, she said twist, spawns a fresh wave of memes and TikTok breakdowns. The latest audio, released by attorney Tony Busby, features a voice alleged to be Sharpe making threats and referencing their racial dynamic in public. It's the kind of soundbite that instantly goes viral, fueling outrage and armchair verdicts from every corner of the web.
Truth is that Shannon Sharpe essentially quit before he was fired. He wanted to avoid people kind of laughing at him or saying he was fired, and also kind of have a little more control over his own destiny.
You know what's worse than a scandal? The whispers that everyone heard, but nobody had the guts or the incentive to say out loud. Enter Jason, a longtime acquaintance of Shannon Sharpe, who's now telling anyone who'll listen that this isn't some shocking one-off. According to Jason, rumors about Shannon's roughhousing with women have been swirling for years. Not just locker room talk, actual stories about Sharpe crossing lines, getting physical, and then buying silence before the headlines could catch up.
I've heard a young woman, claimed by Shannon Sharpe. Not the first time. And, we worked together at Fox Sports.
Let's be clear, Jason isn't the only one. Industry insiders are now crawling out of the woodwork, saying that higher-ups at Fox Sports and ESPN had heard the rumors, seen the settlements, and just kept promoting Sharpe anyway. Why? Because as long as the money was rolling in and the ratings were sky high, nobody wanted to pull the curtain back. Silence was cheap and Sharpe was a star. But here's the twist. Secrets don't stay buried forever. Now that the lawsuit is public, the audio leaks are everywhere, and the internet has receipts, there's nothing left to hide behind. The same executives who once turned a blind eye are suddenly shocked and appalled. The same colleagues who laughed off the stories are now deleting old tweets and distancing themselves. The protection is gone, and the freefall is unstoppable. Here's where the plot gets even juicier. While the headlines were exploding and Busby was feeding the media, Shannon Sharpe was quietly trying to make this whole thing disappear with his checkbook. According to his own attorney, Sharpe offered Gabriela Zuniga at least $10 million to settle the allegations before the lawsuit ever hit the news cycle. This wasn't some public negotiation. This was classic, let's keep this quiet money, slid across the table in private mediation sessions just weeks before the case went public.
Apparently, he was negotiating with this girl behind the scenes. And what we are hearing from that girl's side is that he made a substantial offer, $10 million to try to settle this thing. Obviously, settlement talk.
Gabriela's answer? Not a chance. She rejected the offer, walked out of mediation, and let Busby take the gloves off. Now, instead of a hush-hush payout, Sharpe is staring down a $50 million lawsuit and a public relations nightmare that no amount of money can buy his way out of. Sharpe's team calls it a shakedown. Busby calls it justice. The rest of us? We see a superstar so desperate to keep the receipts from leaking that he was willing to drop 8 figures just to avoid the headlines. And let's be real, in the court of public opinion, nothing screams, I might be guilty like trying to pay your accuser off before the world finds out. Sharpe's lawyer insists the offer was just to avoid the hassle. Not an admission of guilt, but good luck selling that to a jury or to the internet. The mediation talks are dead, the tapes are out, and now every move is public. Let's get real. This lawsuit isn't some bolt from the blue. For years, Shannon Sharpe's name has been whispered in the same breath as trouble. And now, with the curtain finally pulled back, all those skeletons are marching out for everyone to see. Here's what the mainstream won't say out loud. Shannon Sharpe didn't just stumble into this mess. He's got a documented history of messy, sometimes explosive relationships with women, and it's not just tabloid gossip. Remember why he got axed from CBS Sports back in the day? It wasn't bad ratings. It was a string of allegations involving baby mamas, ex-girlfriends, and enough drama to make a Real Housewives reunion look tame. The network quietly showed him the door, hoping a fat severance and a little Wikipedia scrubbing would make the problem vanish. But money only buys silence for so long. As Jason Whitlock points out, there were a lot of allegations involving baby mamas, ex-girlfriends, and they walked away from Shannon Sharpe and ended that deal because he had issues with women. And this used to be on his Wikipedia page, and then it's mostly either completely disappeared or mostly disappeared. Because money can do that. They can smear you or clean you up on Wikipedia. The industry's dirty secret? As long as Sharpe was making money and playing the role, loud, controversial, and ratings gold, executives kept looking the other way. In Whitlock's words, they only promote and install people that they can completely control. In order to get the big bag and the big opportunity, they have to have you compromised through or criminally in some sort of way. During his time at CBS Sports, Shannon Sharpe responded to allegations and controversies involving women with a strategy of denial, minimization, and private settlements. According to Jason Whitlock and multiple sources, Sharpe's exit from CBS wasn't due to ratings, but rather a series of allegations involving ex-girlfriends and baby mamas, which led the network to quietly end his contract. These incidents were largely kept out of the public eye, with details either scrubbed from his Wikipedia page or never widely reported, thanks in part to financial settlements and industry protection. Sharpe himself did not publicly address the specifics of these allegations at the time. When pressed, his representatives typically characterized any incidents as misunderstandings or playful interactions, and Fox Sports, his later employer, resolved at least one physical incident privately for several $100,000, rather than allowing it to become a lawsuit or public scandal. But now, the protection is gone. The old stories are resurfacing, and with Tony Busby on the hunt, one Jane Doe could turn into a dozen. Sharpe's past, once buried under NDAs and corporate loyalty, is now headline news. This isn't just a scandal, it's a reckoning. When the machine that protected you runs out of excuses, your history becomes your sentence. When the headlines hit and the leaks started flying, Shannon Sharpe didn't just lawyer up. He went straight to the camera, dropping a fiery Instagram video that was part denial, part defiance, and all-out war on his accuser and her legal team. Sharpe's message, crystal clear.
Family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all.
He didn't mince words, accusing attorney Tony Busby of targeting black men and manipulating the media with edited evidence. Sharpe claimed the infamous 30-second video clip about to be released was a hatchet job, insisting the real footage is 10 minutes long and would clear his name, if only Busby would release it in full. He said, "Hey Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself."
This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a that tries to make me look guilty and play.
He painted the lawsuit as part of a bigger pattern, tying Busby to previous high-profile cases against Jay-Z and Deshaun Watson, and framing himself as the latest target in a legal culture war. Sharpe's legal team doubled down, releasing explicit texts and arguing that the relationship was not only consensual, but steered by the accuser's own graphic requests. His attorney, Lanny J. Davis, called the suit a reprehensible attempt at extortion and promised to contest it vigorously in court. But here's the twist. Sharpe isn't denying the voice on the leaked audio is his. He's just saying it's out of context, part of a consensual dynamic, and weaponized by editing. His playbook? Go public, go loud, and try to seize the narrative before the court of public opinion buries him for good. So there you have it. Shannon Sharpe, once untouchable, now fighting for his reputation in the world's loudest courtroom, the internet. The receipts are out, the leaks keep coming, and the only thing more brutal than the headlines are the reactions from fans who feel betrayed. What do you think? Victim of a shakedown? Or is this karma finally catching up? Drop your verdict in the comments below. If you want more savage breakdowns of sports, scandal, and celebrity meltdowns, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss the next downfall. Because in 2025, nobody's legacy is safe, and the internet never forgets.